Verizon is acquiring Frontier for $20 billion, aiming to expand its fiber network and compete more effectively with AT&T. The deal will add 2.2 million fiber subscribers across 25 states, expanding Verizon's reach to 10 million customers. The acquisition is a strategic move to accelerate growth and enhance its offering as Verizon faces slowing revenue. Frontier, which filed for bankruptcy in 2020 and settled with the FTC over misleading speeds, brings valuable assets despite recent challenges. I would contend they probably got a lemon. That and many, many more stories tonight. You're listening to Geek News Central, episode 1764, coming to this Thursday, September 5th. I'm your host, Todd Cochran. A big shout out to our primary sponsor at GoDaddy.com. Grab their deals at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And to all of our awesome listeners, you're the real MVPs. Contribute your time, talent, or treasure at geeknewscentral.com/insider by becoming a GNC Insider. We are live and lit with modern podcast apps from podcastapps.com. Join us live by downloading and using a modern podcast app. Of course, dive into the digital hub at geeknewscentral.com. Don't forget to check out our partner shows, all linked up on top of the website. Of course, get on board and don't forget to follow or subscribe via your favorite modern podcast app and sign up for the newsletter while you're on the website. You can always join our chat room at geeknews.chat. And of course, if you have feedback on the show today, you can do it very simply by emailing me, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com, or an X at geeknews. Of course, you can find me on Facebook as well. A massive salute to our sponsor, GoDaddy, the longest continuous running sponsor of a podcast, and this is where savings begin. We want you to lock in these savings. It's very simple to do. All you got to do is go over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy and lock in those savings. Just click on a promo code and it'll get you up and running. Of course, $11.99. Yes, $11.99 for a brand new domain name. That's the way it goes. $6.99 a month. $6.99 a month for economy hosting. Yes, economy hosting with a free domain, professional email, and SSL certificate. Of course, you can get yourself a $12.99 a month managed WordPress hosting. Managed WordPress hosting, again, includes a free domain, professional email, and an SSL certificate. Again, these are for the first year. Of course, you can get a free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal business-to-business plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. And don't forget, your support, yes, your support, keeps Geek News Central online, allows the independent team to do what they do. And, of course, you support a very small team here. So definitely check out what we have to offer at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Lock in those savings today. So as I'm getting the stream going here, I'm looking at what's going on. I've got a warning lights everywhere. What's going on? Yeah, the bandwidth is good. Why are you complaining about the speed, YouTube? So let me stop some of the downstream stuff. That should help. You know, that's one thing. We've got bad weather. Well, very cloudy weather here today. And when that happens, Starlink doesn't perform as good as it should. And that's just kind of the way the ball rolls. So we're up and online, and I'm glad you're all here. I definitely, we had a holiday on Monday with Labor Day. But over the weekend, as I talked about in my previous show, Phase 2, Phase 2 is finished. And he said, what is Phase 2? Phase 2 is I've got everything unpacked except for one box I can't find, which is probably in a storage unit, which has silverware in it. But all the glasses, all the kitchenware, all my books, all my business accounts, everything that was critical to be inside under air conditioning or heat, whatever it may be, is here. Everything is here, organized, put away. And I've still got some drawer space left, a drawer and a half left. So now begins Phase 3, And phase 3 is where I now take whatever the extra stuff is here and I go to the storage unit and I start sorting through boxes of stuff that was in my storage room, my secure storage room, which is a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot. And making a decision, sell, pitch, or keep. And that's going to be the game of it. Now, if you live in southern Michigan, you might be able to take advantage of some of the stuff that I'm going to definitely be putting on marketplace at some point. But this weekend, my plan is just to sort and to try to get through 20% of it. I'm hoping 20%, or maybe 25%. I'm not going to go over there and spend 16 hours a day doing this. But I have a goal by the end of the month to kind of have things kind of settled to where I want it to be and down to 1 storage unit versus 2. That's kind of the plan. But I was able to take Labor Day off and relax around here, which was nice. And other than that, it's been a very, very full week from work. It just normal stuff. I've got everything now the way I want it. And the only thing that really changed in the studio, and I don't know if you can see it on this camera. I don't think so. I don't think you can see it from this view for those of you that are watching. But I basically found a riser on Amazon, and I was able to, on this side over here, I've got one computer that's dedicated to doing the audio stream. And then the other computer here on the side is really me being able to monitor chat in both Facebook and on YouTube. You got those set up in a way where they're not piled on top of one another anymore. I've got the Roadcaster here below for some features I use from other live events I do. But everything is pretty much dialed in as far as where everything needs to be. I have probably minor tweaks. I got some comments from the last show that everyone was like, wow, things have really improved. I'm just like, really? Things really improved? It's not that much of a change, to be kind of frank, but just little tweaks here and there, and I'm pretty jazzed at where things are at, and considering it's just been a month and I've got it dialed in. Spent some money on doing some changes, but so far so good. And I talked about last week about replacing the Mac Pro. That was a big part of the expense. So, but we did get a donation in. We'll talk about that later. That I definitely appreciate that is helping the cause considerably. So let's go ahead and get into the tech show. You guys want to hear about this news about what's going on with Verizon, and Verizon has basically said they're going to buy Frontier for $20 billion to expand its fiber network. And I'm going to be kind of frank. Verizon, I hope you did your due diligence, because I think it's a big turd. I really do. I don't think that this is potentially a good acquisition in any sense of the word. So, this company, first of all, I don't know what's happened to the government money that they got, that they're going to have to give back, that they didn't use to expand fiber for this rural access. Maybe the government will give them a pass, and then Verizon won't spend the money either. But, they are a competitor to AT&T, I guess, going to help them out a little bit here. So it's going to extend Verizon's reach again to about 10 million people in 31 states. I'm just not a fan of Frontier, considered what they have done in this area. Verizon chairman and CEO Hans Vestberg, I said, if it will build on Verizon's 2 decades of leadership at the forefront of fiber, is an opportunity to become more competitive in more markets. Well, after you clean all their crap up, they supposedly pivoted to a leaner business, but they faced concerns about their bank accounts for a while, and the FTC sued them, claim it misrepresented its actual speeds, and the company had to pay a fine of $8.5 million. So I don't know. I mark my words. I think they're just buying a turd. I really do, because I personally think Frontier is a turd. In the kindest words I can use here. A North Carolina musician has been charged with music streaming fraud aided by AI in the first case of its kind, which is very, very curious here. Damian Williams, the United States Attorney for Southern District of New York, and Christy M. Curtis, the Acting Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office of the FBI, announced the unsealing of a three-count criminal indictment charging Michael Smith in connection with a scheme to create hundreds of thousands of songs with artificial intelligence using automated programs called bots to stream an AI-generated songs billions of times. So what they did is essentially made up junk. They made up junk songs that they submitted to streaming services, and then they made junk accounts, and they used those bots to play those junk songs millions of times. And ultimately, they did such a widespread and uploaded tens of thousands of songs, and tens of thousands of user bots, and all this stuff that went on. He was able to scam the streaming services of about $1 million. $1 million in royalties. They should have been paid to musicians, songwriters, and other rights holders. So if they were that dumb and were paying this guy $1 million for junk and weren't smart enough to see the bot accounts, and he was listen to this. When you see this, they generated 661,000 played streams a day, which was able to yield an annual royalty of $1.2 million. And he worked with some CEO of some AI company to do all this. So, it's all cool. It's all cool until you get caught, right? That's where things go sideways, to be honest with you. In another cyber attack, a cyber attack has hit Planned Parenthood, and they've had a ransom hub claims responsibility. This is ongoing. We're seeing this all the time here. Sexual and reproductive health care provider Planned Parenthood of Montana suffered this ransomware attack. The company CEO and president of Planned Parenthood Montana confirmed the news, given usually in advance of a prepared statement. They said, "We're grateful for IT staff and cybersecurity partners are working around the clock to restore impacted systems." And I don't know how much, but apparently they claimed to stole 93 gigs of sensitive data, and he's given the organization 7 days to come back with the money. And we'll see. We'll see if they are able, if they're going to pay the ransom, or if they are going to just try to restore. That's the question. Waymo thinks it can overcome robotaxi skepticism with lots of safety data to share with people like you and I. The company's full driverless vehicles have driven accordingly 22.2 million miles. The Alpha-owned company revealed a new safety hub with glossy graphics and a multitude of charts that will be basically periodically updated with the overarching message that these autonomous vehicles are not to be feared. The moves comes as Waymo seeks to expand its footprint and win over new customers. What do you feel about getting in a driverless taxi? Now, I have a friend that has a Tesla, and he absolutely swears by it. He says he drove it from Massachusetts all the way down to Washington, D.C., and the car largely drives by itself. I'm sure if it's on a highway, that's probably the case. But the last time Waymo released its safety data was in December of 2023, and the company had only driven 7.1 million rider-only miles. But I guess this is doing this. If you're in San Francisco and Phoenix, are any of you using any of these services in any of those cities? I'm really, really curious if you are. Meanwhile, YouTube is stepping up their game, and they are going to restrict teenager access to fitness videos. And this is an interesting move. Why are they restricting teenagers to fitness videos? They basically say YouTube is to limit recommendations of certain type of health and fitness videos to teenagers. It says 13 to 17-year-olds will still be able to search for and find fitness-related content, but will not be encouraged into repeated viewing of similar videos. YouTube is acting because it concerns that repeat exposure to such material can lead to people develop negative beliefs about them system. Experts welcome the measure, but say it needs to be accompanied by a broader discussion about fitness and health for young people. YouTube's logarithm will usually recommend similar content for users, and the platform says it will no longer be offered for teens when they view certain types of content. So again, I guess it's when they're doing comparison of physical features and idealistic fitness levels or body weights. When I was a teenager, I'm going to be kind of honest. I think that if this type of content had been available, I probably would have been down for it because, I remember running cross country. We had a guy come in from Switzerland or someplace like that. Lucky enough to do a 2 or 3 day camp with him. And I learned an incredible amount. My local coach was only so good. I could have sucked up a whole bunch of cross country videos, training videos, and learned a lot if there would have been a YouTube at the time. So it seems to me a little odd that they're blocking this type of content from teenagers. I don't get it. I guess what they're trying to, what is it? If you're fat and you go on YouTube and you see a fitness video of a skinny person, does that discourage you? Is that what it is? I struggle with weight now. Luckily I've stayed the same weight for really about 10 years, but I could afford to be 20 or 25 pounds lighter. But when I was in my youth, matter of fact, I was pretty skinny. I graduated high school at 120 pounds, believe it or not. So yeah, I guess maybe that's the thing. And what say you? Geeknews@gmail.com. Geeknews@gmail.com. Now, YouTube is developing AI detection tools for music and faces, plus creator controls for AI training. I guess that didn't work out so good when they were getting scammed on YouTube Music for millions of dollars in fake streams. So they have to do something here with this. So they announced on Thursday a new set of AI detection tools to protect creators, including artists, actors, musicians, athletes, from having likeness, including their faces and voices, copied and used in other videos. One key component of the new tech involved the expansion of YouTube's existing content ID system, which today identifies copyrighted protected material. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that happened on YouTube here too. This system will be expanded into include new synthetic singing identification to identify AI content, simulate someone's singing voice. Other detection technologies will be deployed to identify when someone simulated with AI, the company says. Now, a couple of days ago, I received an email from YouTube on a video that I did in 2020. I don't want to get this video banned. We were talking about the events that were happening in 2020, and I was talking about what people were getting inoculated for. And I made a mention about overseas on some challenges in the past that had been seen, and some people, and some hesitancy. I guess I'll leave it at that. I tried not to talk around a little bit here. And because I had said that overseas there had been some challenges in getting more people to, you know, take this specific action, they banned the video. And they said, you don't get a community strike because maybe you didn't know this violated our guidelines. But what I had said in its entirety was absolutely true. There was nothing that was misinformation or fake about what I was talking about. Yet they pulled it down for literally 45 seconds of me making a comment, of which at the time I had a link to a reputable news site with talking about these specific challenges. So they're still on the kick that, you know, if you have not taken the item in which was being pushed forward at the time, they pulled it down. So I found that very, very interesting. All this time later, 4 years later, they pulled the video and did not give me a strike, did not give me a community strike. So it was very, very interesting, to say the least, that this showed up so many years later, and them doing this. Now, there's a new article over at Artificial Intelligence News, artificialintelligence-news.com, talking about how the UK has come up with a AI safety treaty to protect human rights and democracy. And I'm getting some word that the United States is involved in this as well, to a certain extent. So they basically say the UK has signed a landmark AI safety treaty aimed at protecting human rights. A chancellor signed the Council of Europe's AI Convention today as part of a united global approach. Artificial intelligence has the capability to radically improve the responsiveness and effectiveness of public services and turbocharging economic growth. However, we must not let AI shape us. We must shape AI. And this convention is a major step to ensuring that new technologies can harness without eroding our oldest values like human rights and the rule of law. So the treaty acknowledges the potential benefits of AI, but they basically say to truly outrun cybercriminals and maintain a defensive advantage, robust framework for AI governance and ethical standards must be established. So this first legally binding international AI treaty is another step towards a recommendation for both AI caution and applications for good collaboration. Now, I was trying to do some research on this and trying to see where the United States came in. Peter Kyle, Secretary of State for Science, Innovation, and Technology Committee, AI holds the potential to be the driving force behind new economic growth, a predictive revolution and true transformation in our public service, but that ambition can only be achieved if people have faith and trust in innovation. He says the convention we signed today, which it must not be a treaty, it's a convention. So the convention we signed today alongside global partners will be key to that effort. Once enforced, it will further enhance the protection for human rights, rule of law, and democracy. So how can the United States, they call this a treaty. They call it the AI Safety Treaty to protect human rights and democracy. So if it's a treaty is normally has to be ratified by, I believe, the Senate. Again, in their text, it says the treaty acknowledges the potential benefits of AI. But yet, Peter Kyle, Secretary of State of Science, Innovation, and Technology, said AI says this convention. I'm confused. Does anyone have a clue The difference between, I thought treaties where you say, we won't, we're going to reduce arms, or we are going to do this, or we are going to protect you, or, a treaty is something that has to be ratified in Congress. So maybe this is why he called it a convention. Maybe the convention doesn't require ratification. I'm bamboozled just a little bit. geeknews@gmail.com. If any of you are government scholars and have a clue what they have done here, I would love to know. I think we talked about this already a little bit, but the Internet Archive has lost a landmark ebook lending copyright appeal against publishers. I think we talked about this already, but the Second Court of Appeals has dealt a blow to the Internet Archive's digital book lending program, in that the court upheld a lower court's decision that IA's practice of scanning and lending copyrighted books without permission is not fair use. IA's lending program directly threatens the revenue of publishers. HarperCollins, John Wiley, and Penguin Random House sued IA, the Internet Archive, for copyright infringement. Of course, IA's library is a nonprofit organization, among other things, scans physical books in-house so they can be lent out to patrons as ebooks. The controlled digital lending practice allows for only one copy of a book to be lent at a time, mirroring traditional library lending models. At the same time, however, CDL bypasses the publisher's ebook licensing model. So apparently, because of the in-house scanning services that differs from licensing agreements entered into by other libraries, these agreements see library license official ebook versions from publishers who charge for every book that's lent out. So that's where they stand on this. They lost. So that will probably be coming to an end. All right, I want to thank our folks that are using new podcasting apps. I got 1,000 sats in from Pessmerk. He says, in regards to your scamming situation, I watch a YouTube named Scammer Payback. I know this guy very well. I follow his channel. He is a blue-haired guy that works with the FBI and other agencies to get scammers from other countries from trying to steal Americans' money, especially the elderly. It's hilarious. It's a must-see. So Pessmerk also, what they have over there is a place to submit numbers that they basically use bots and so forth to shut down. Also, another 1,000 sats from Pessmerk says, hey, Todd, only thing I want made out of titanium is my aviation engine components and blow dryers because they cool really fast. Other than that, not the toothbrush. So, hey, thank you so much for the sats. I know you were streaming the show as well at 30 sats a minute. So thanks, Pessmerk, for that and your participation in value for value. At the same time, I want to thank Roger Nash for his $2 sustaining donation, Richard Woodworth for his $10.41 Ohana donation, and I want to thank our anonymous donator for his $250 value for value donation. I got your email. I read it. I appreciate that you sent in the donation. Thank you so much for your ongoing consideration to support the show. I really do appreciate it. That goes a really, really long way. Now, for those of you that are not yet insiders, all you have to do is go over to geeknewscentral.com/insider. And it's real easy. You can sign up for a $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, or $25 per month contribution, or you can make a one-time donation like our anonymous donor did. Again, a lifetime donation of up to $1,000 earns you a special gift from me. You have to do your own accounting. And there's actually, I need to update that address because that won't work anymore. But again, we've got the ability here for you to contribute to the show. Or even mail in a single check. So geeknewscentral.com/insider. That's a place to go find that. And again, thank you for your ongoing support of the podcast. It is greatly appreciated, and we'll definitely apply that $250 donation to paying some of the credit card bill that I incurred this month. So again, become an insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider. All right, Samsung's new Galaxy Pro 5 brings together AI smarts with premium, quote unquote, premium hardware. And so what you need to know, the Samsung Galaxy Book 5 Pro 360. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Say that 3 times real quick. Packs a Series 47 TOPS of NPU power and runs on Intel Core Ultra Series 2, which is 4 times more powerful than the last model. It's a 16-inch dynamic AMOLED 2-times screen at a 2880 by 1800 resolution, 500 nits of HDR, 120 hertz refresh rate, and includes over 300 AI-driven features across 100 apps for everything from work to play. So what is it going to cost? Does it say what the price on that bad boy is? No, there is no price in this. Oh, maybe there is down further. No, there's no price. But if you like Samsung Galaxy Book, this might be an option for you for a new notebook. Bill Gates, he's got a good feeling about AI. A good feeling. Down in a good feeling, huh? Oh, when someone says I got a good feeling about AI, it makes me wonder, right? Gates has got a new Netflix series coming out called What's Next? The Future with Bill Gates. It launches September 18th. Now, some people hate Bill Gates. Some people like Bill Gates. You know, I like what Bill Gates did early, but what some of the stuff Bill Gates is doing now sometimes makes me go, But The Verge had a little conversation with him, and he asked him what makes him so optimistic about the tech covered in the series. They couldn't resist asking him about his days leading to Microsoft too. They said in the first episode, you asked ChatGPT to recommend an exercise you can do in the office to use ChatGPT in your day-to-day life. He said, well, actually not for exercise, although that was a good example where it gave a good answer. He says, I'm often learning about topics, and ChatGPT is an excellent way to get explanations for specific questions. I'm often writing things, and it's a huge help in writing. Bill, that anything output can't be copyrighted. I'd say the feature I use the most is the meeting summary, which is integrated into Teams, which I use a lot. The ability to interact and not just get the summary, but ask questions about the meeting is pretty fantastic. Do you think, and we turned off AI on Zoom because it just became a little too intrusive. Sometimes I'd be in a meeting and be talking about stuff I didn't want recorded. Like we're having legal discussions and that kind of stuff, not necessarily HR, any of that stuff. And just, sometimes you just don't want stuff recorded, right? Private attorney-client privilege, right? But do you think Microsoft should expand its partnership with OpenAI or invest more in its tech? He said, I'm an advisor to Microsoft. It's strengthening the OpenAI relationship, doing a lot of it of its own. I mean, the amount of investment Microsoft other than the field is hard to overstate. And this comes up in the series. What about all the prophecies of doom? Are you worried about AI destroying the world? He said, well, the near-term issues are more using it in a positive way in areas like health and education. Even in the United States, we have shortages. The idea of a personal tutor, which I have seen out in Newark at Khan Academy's AI tool, which is based on ChatGPT, seeing how great that is to help the teachers do the jobs, help students who are behind or stay ahead, it is amazing. So I think he's on to something in that regard. Now, I'm going to leave the rest of the article for you to review, and it's quite extensive. It's a good interview by the folks over at The Verge. I like his perspectives, don't get me wrong. But I'm using ChatGPT every single day. Can't say how many times I use it but I use it quite a bit. The FTC's urge to make smart devices say how long they will be supported. Boy, oh boy, this is fantastic. Some of my smart devices that I've had around here for a while, they've been perfectly good. All of a sudden, no more updates. And it's a perfectly good piece of kit, but yet it's junk because there's no more updates. So it's pretty infuriating when a gadget stops working. You know, big tech companies are guilty of rendering hardware obsolete or stripping core functions. In a letter sent today to Samuel Levin, Director of FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, and Serena Visuwanathan, oh my God, I'm sorry, Associate Director of FTC Division of Advertising Practice, represented from 17 groups, including Consumer Reports, USPRIG, and iFixit, urged FTC for clear guidance around software tethering. Software tethering, per the letter, is making functions of the device reliant on embedded software that ties the device back to the manufacturer's servers, as it extends the practices hurting customers, such as suddenly locking features behind a subscription, like the SNU Smart Bassinet recently did, or bricking already purchased devices, which Spotify did with its car thing. So I agree. I think the FTC should try, at a minimum, to try to get companies to have to state how long they're going to support a specific device. Let's be real. Some of the stuff will work a long time. Look at the Mac Pro that I just put to pasture, 11 years, and the only real reason that I had to get rid of it was because it had a fan that was running out of control, that I could not have running while I was doing the show. And it just interrupted my workflow completely. So in that regard, there's no way that Mac Pro could have been fixed. I asked Apple if they could fix it, and they said not supported. Maybe some third party could have fixed it. Maybe it's something common. I've got it in the back. I'm not going to sell the unit. I'm going to use it for video capturing high 8 that I want to go from from tape to video. I've got, 100 tapes I need to record. So I'm going to use it in that regard. It'll work just fine. It's just be a little annoying. But if I'm not doing the show, who cares if the chip howls or the computer howls? So therein lies my dilemma. Okay, remember how folks said that there was not going to be any election interference, how all our systems were safe? So here's the latest. U.S. targets Russian election influence operation with charges, sanctions, and domain seizures. The U.S. has cracked down on an influence operation sponsored by the Russian government, and they've announced charges. The operation targeted a campaign dubbed a Doppelganger, which the Justice Department says violated money laundering and criminal trademark laws. The campaign spread information to an effort to influence the 2024 U.S. presidential election. The Justice Department did not clearly state, but evidence made public on Wednesday shows the influence campaign attempted to boost, listen to this, boost Donald Trump. Yet, Vladimir just today said he would rather work with Kamala. So, okay, what's the real story here? Of course, the U.S. has long accused the Russian government of trying to meddle in and disrupt its elections. The goal of the campaign was to sow division, and they announced the seizure of 32 domain names created as part of the campaign. Some of those domains had typo-squatted names that were meant to trick visitors into believing they were legitimate news websites, such as Washington Post, Fox. One of the domains, for instance, was WashingtonPost.pm. The fake websites copy legitimate sites, and the articles appear to be posted by known journalists affiliated with targeted news organizations. However, the sites displayed false stories that promoted Russian government propaganda. So this is just going to continue to rock and roll for a while. Now, there's an opinion piece by Mike Eglin over at Computer World saying that Apple's planned chatbot should have no personality. He wants it to be a plain Jane, hello, how are you? How can I help you? He doesn't want it to have any personality whatsoever. So apparently, this is in response to Apple is developing its AI assistant, and it's going to have a persona. Will have a human-like AI personality. The new assistant could replace Siri on HomePod, iPhones, iPads, and Macs. But we know that personalities have not always worked out so well. You know, one person asked me one time, I use the Siri that is a man. And someone asked me one time, why do you have a man as your Siri making a response? I'm like, I don't know. I set the voice. It wasn't as annoying as the other one. I think there's 3 or 4 voices you can pick from. I said I wasn't annoyed when I heard it talking to me in that voice. So nothing against the person that made that, made Siri sound the way it sounds. So I don't know. What say you? Would you like an AI with no persona? I kind of think it should. And maybe we should be able to pick from personas. Well, we never hear about people going to jail for scams. Well, 2 Nigerians were sentenced to prison in the U.S. Yes, 2 Nigerians. How did they get them out of Nigeria? 2 Nigerian nationals were sentenced to prison in the U.S. for operating a business email compromise BEC scheme that the Justice Department announced on Wednesday. One of the individuals, Ibuka Raphael Umedi, 35, was sentenced August 27th to 10 years. His co-defendant, Franklin, Okawano, 34, was sentenced on September 3rd to 5 years. Each of the defendants was ordered to pay $5 million. Between February 2016 and July 2020, court documents evidence presented in court show the 2 sent phishing emails with payloads. They were meant to compromise people's systems, and they basically tried to cause over $5 million in losses to victim companies. So both of these folks were convicted of wire fraud, conspiracy to damage a computer. How did they get them out of Nigeria? Or were they just living here in the United States and were part of, they were just doing it here. Bluetooth 6.0 is officially launched, and there's a little bit of an upgrade per se. You're not going to see some of this come out real soon. Bluetooth to us is just kind of works, right? And we all rely on Bluetooth. An official announcement from the Bluetooth Special Interest Group, which includes Intel, Apple, Google. There's a lot of emphasis on improving filtering efficiencies. That Bluetooth devices are only communicating with each other when they need to and not sending random data, and also to know how far away they are from each other. That means that Find My Device services like Apple, Samsung, and Google and Taos should become more accurate and sensitive across a wider range. I tell you, be honest with you, I find myself using Find My stuff, especially since I've been in this transition of a big mess. Sometimes I can't find my phone, and I have to go, all right, where is it? And, I find it, and it makes it ring itself. When you are in chaos, it works real, real well. Why do you upgrade a phone? I know why I upgrade a phone. When it gets old, when it's not working as well. So that's the study that just came out that said most iPhone 16 buyers will be upgrading for one simple reason: obsolescence. At the same time, the FCC has finally banned Kaspersky from telecom kits. So, they're on the bad boy list. The FCC's released a notice to confirm that it's prohibited the use of any equipment that integrates Kaspersky cybersecurity or antivirus software. This comes months after the U.S. banned the sale of their products. At the same time, North Korean hackers are targeting job seekers with fake interviews. Researchers found that North Korean cybercriminals tricked unsuspecting candidates into downloading fake Windows video conferencing applications, which impersonated freeconference.com. The campaign was labeled contagious interview after being discovered by an analyst. The attack started through a job search platform such as LinkedIn or Upwork. The attackers reached out to the intended targets to discuss a job opportunity, inviting them to continue the discussion via Telegram. From there, the victim would be asked to download a video conferencing app. So always, if you're going to do something, try to use your own video conferencing. Say, hey, I'll send you a meeting invite, and you can use mine. Blue Origin drone ships has arrived in Port Canaveral ahead of the New Glenn launch. Now, this is pretty cool. Another tug pulling a drone ship. Jacqueline's name of the drone ship. That also happens to be the name of the mother of Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos. With Jacqueline's arrival at Port Canaveral means that soon SpaceX will not be the only space company landing rockets on drone ships in the Atlantic Ocean. So Blue Origin has ambitious plans to do the same, so it should be pretty entertaining. They've got a flight, a launch coming up on October 13th, and they're going to be sending a satellite for NASA, I believe, into space. Good luck with that. Predator spywares resurfaced with signs of activity, according to information on the interwebs. So I won't go into this too much detail. You can look it up within the article here on Cyberscoop. AT&T, meanwhile, has sued Broadcom for breaking VMware support extension contract. Basically, AT&T has 2 more years on an option to extend, and Broadcom is refusing to honor the contract, and so AT&T says, fine, we'll sue you, and so that will go into litigation. No one wins, just the lawyers do as well. Now, this is what I find to be kind of surprising. Meta's oversight board has separated death threats and aspirational statements in Venezuela. The board also criticized Meta's policy for throttling political content. Now, what I find curious about this is it weighed in on the company's content moderation policies in Venezuela amid violent crackdowns and widespread protests following the country's disputed presidential election. In its decision, the board said that Facebook users posting about the state-supported armed group known as Colectivos should have more leeway in making statements like, kill those beep beep Colectivos. The company asked the Oversight Board for guidance on that issue, noting that the moderators had seen an influx of anti-Colectivos content in the wake of the election. Meta specifically asked for the board's input that Meta says was directed at the organization and a Facebook criticizing Venezuela's security forces. The Oversight Board said neither post violated Meta's rules, and these were pretty violent posts that I would have surprised that they actually kept them online. He says it targets aspirational violence of state-backed forces that have contributed to longstanding repression of civic space and other human rights violations, including in the present post-election crisis. By contrast, the civic population has been the target of human rights abuses. So I guess because people aren't happy in their civil rights abuses, I guess it's okay for people to complain about it. It's very interesting. The case isn't the first time the board has waded into the debate surrounding the role of political content. Earlier this year, the board accepted its first case related to posts on Thread, which all expect to weigh on Meta's controversial decision to limit recommendations of political posts. But at the same time, don't post a picture of an eagle flying over a flag on Facebook. It might disappear and be put as controversial content. A U.S. judge says X must face class action age bias claims over its mass layoffs. Well, when it laid people off, it laid people off. But apparently in San Francisco, there was 150 older workers who were laid off by the social media platform. U.S. District Judge Susan Illiston, in a decision released late Tuesday, said the case represented a common question over the impact of the layoff at the company on workers that were 50 and older. Now, I'm pretty sensitive. I understand what happens when you get older. You become expendable. Plaintiff John Zeman worked X-Communication Department when the company was called Twitter, sued in 2023, said, now, he let the whole communication staff off. He said in his lawsuit that X laid off 60% of employees were 50 or older, and nearly 3/4 of those who were 60% and over, compared to 54% of employees younger than 50. Hmm. So they laid off 60% of employees who were 50 or older, and near three. How is that? Was it proportional? So yes, this goes back to he gets a everyone hates Elon, so not surprised the court has done this. What do you think on that? I'd love to hear what you think about this particular situation. Geeknews at gmail.com. Not surprising, this is big business. PayPal pushes into person payments with cashback rewards. Let me say that again. PayPal pushes into in-person payments with cashback rewards. So in other words, Cash App. So PayPal's expanding. Oh, is it? I thought this was person to person. Expanding to U.S. point of sale payments by integrating its debit card with Apple's mobile wallet and offering 5% cashback rewards as the global online payment giant seeks direct competition with tech companies and banks. The bid to grab a slice of in-person purchases, stores, cafes, and restaurants is part of an ambitious turnaround. Huh. Interesting. So it's not like Cash App. It's definitely e-commerce. 5% cash back for certain products up to $1,000 per month is a pretty big reward. I think at one time I had a PayPal debit card. I don't think I ever activated it. I don't know where it's at, to be honest with you. It's probably expired. Meanwhile, Amazon slapped itself on the back, can congratulate itself for AI code that mostly works. Amazon Web Services on Tuesday took a moment to pat itself on the back for being a thought of inside the box, specifically the upper right-hand square that's part of Gartner's trademark Magic Quadrant. What is this? The particular set of boxes maps the IT consultancy's view of AI code assistance. AWS understandably chuffed to land a spot. Okay, I don't understand what they're even talking about. Okay, this is something about some trademark Magic Quadrant. Okay. Let you all read that one. I just thought they were praising themselves at one point. I don't know. So, according to Wired, Russia's most notorious special forces unit now has its own cyber warfare team. Unit 29155, a Russian GRU military agency, a team responsible for coup attempts, assassinations, and bombings, has branched out into brazen hack operations across the world. Huh. Well, we know the GRU is still doing these kinds of things. A broad group of Western government agencies from countries including the U.S., the UK, Ukraine, Australia, Canada, and the Five Eyes on Thursday revealed that a hacker group known as Cadet Blizzard, Bleeding Bear, or Grayscale, one that has launched multiple hacking operation targets against Ukraine, the U.S., and other countries, is in fact part of the GRU, Unit 29155. This is the division of spy agency known for brazen acts of physical sabotage and political motivated murder. What part of the U.S. government does some of that stuff? Would that be the CIA? Google's AI-powered Ask Photo feature begins U.S. rollout. Now, this was talked about at their big event here some time ago. And this is basically announced in May. Google's Photo AI-powered search feature is rolling out to users today. The feature, which allows users to ask AI to find photos using more complex queries, will initially be available in early access to select customers. Now, one thing I will be honest with you, wrong button. I do like in my iPhone where I can, so many services now, banks, investment firms, Robinhood, Cash App, all these folks are asking for you to enter your driver's license or your passport to verify your identity. Yeah, I've took pictures of my driver's license a dozen times, but it's way down somewhere in the stack, right? I can actually search for driver's license in my iPhone and it'll bring my driver's license picture up. I don't use it for much more than that. But what do you use search for on your phone to find more pictures that you're looking for? At the same time, OpenAI hits 1 million paid users for business versions of ChatGPT. That's a big number. Of course, they introduced enterprise product a year ago. We never went to enterprise. We are still paying for individual accounts. So basically, enterprise essentially is one of those situations where you can have a team. And we never paid for it. We just, everyone runs on their own account and bills it to the company. So, so very, very interesting. I missed a comment that came in from YouTube. It says, I have Comcast Xfinity. They can't fix the issue, and I wish Fios is available in my area of Cape Coral, Florida. Bobby, what's going on with your issue? And I wish Fios, they can't fix the issue. What issue can't they fix? I didn't get the rest of it. Let me know. Hey, if you've got a comment about the show today, it's real simple. Real simple. geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com. And of course, I'm on X at Geek News. And our sponsor page is at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You too. Definitely check out GoDaddy Products and Services. We want to thank those of you that have been using a Podcasting 2.0 app. And we did a demo today to about 40 of our customers that showed up for a webinar that talked about some of the features of Fountain, specifically talking about value for value, talking about transcripts, talking about chapter files. If you're not using any of those apps, you're not able to experience the extra metadata that I'm putting into my RSS feed that's picked up by these apps. Every edition, every episode of Geek News Central now has chapter files built into the metadata so that if you want to jump to a specific spot in the podcast, every article that I talk about has a chapter file. So you can look in there and go click and just jump to it, so that if you don't want to listen to the whole show, you can read through the chapters and jump to the area you want to participate in. That's just one of the features of using a modern podcast app from podcastapps.com. All right. Hey, we'll be back with you on Monday. And then next week, Tuesday, I go to Cleveland or Cincinnati, one of the two, for a artificial intelligence conference, the same one I went to last year from Macon. I'm absolutely excited. I'm taking one of my team members. We're going together. We're dividing and conquering the session so we get the most value out of the two of us being there. It's a very expensive conference to go to. I think the ticket was like $1,500. Luckily, the company paid it, and we're able to go there and get educated. So I know Sam. I know you sent me an email that said, "Hey, wow, I know you're going to the event. Thank you for." And I'll come back and talk about, of course, everything that I learned. Matter of fact, let me find the email from Sam. Let's see here. I got to get, am I in the right? Yeah, it's right here. So Sam said, I heard on a podcast you're going to Macon. I'm envious. I listen to numerous AI podcasts, including the Artificial Intelligence Show with Paul and Mike. This is a definite listen, Sam. I took their piloting AI course and received my certification. I hope you really enjoy and get a lot of good info out of the conference next week. Sam Wahana in Albuquerque. Sam, I can't wait. This is the most excited I've been to go back to a conference in a long, long time. So yes, I'll have a lot to say about it. Also, I want to talk to Bob Layton. If any of you got a political ad as a pre-roll to the show, let me, or if you ever hear something that's not appropriate for this podcast, let me know. Bob let me know that he heard a political ad, which we have blocked. And I sent, matter of fact, I called our provider. I'm the CEO. I can call directly to the company we integrate with and said, hey, my show had a political ad running as a pre-roll. I've got that category turned off. Politics is not supposed to run on the show. And right on the phone, they looked it up and said, yep, the vendor did not flag it as political content. We were putting them on the ban list until they get this fixed. So what happens is near the end of the month, and this was heard on the 30th, what happens is advertisers try to sneak inventory in at the end of the month, and they turn off the flags for they're supposed to flag what the ad content is, so that if I've said no political ads, you don't get a political ad. So my apology for anyone that got a political ad was not my intention to subject you to any political party ad from a tech show. And if you hear anything that comes up during the podcast that basically sounds like a political ad or gambling or anything that you would think, why would Todd run this? Please email me immediately at geeknews@gmail.com. So, Bob, thank you for the heads up on that, and I definitely appreciate your fortitude here. And I got an email from Mike who said, hey, Todd, thanks for a shout on tonight's episode. I'm glad that the new studio's coming together. You got my name right. Pay as in payday. So Michael Pay, thank you so much. Take care of yourself and try not to work too hard. That I think that's a given. So anyway, thanks for the emails, everyone. We'll be back with you on Monday for another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. There'll be no show Thursday because I'm going to be out, but we'll have another fun show for you on Monday. How are you guys liking the show? And if you haven't watched the video lately, please watch it on Apple Podcasts. Yes, you can watch this show on Apple Podcasts or on your Apple TV. Go to the Geek News Central video version and watch the show. I've tried to spice things up, change camera views a little bit, get my finger knowledge down. Let me know what you think of the video. Those of you on YouTube, thank you for being here. Those of you on Facebook, thanks for being here. And if you're watching on any other restreaming things, say hello. And I'll be back with you on Monday. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Take care, Ohana.